Welcome back, guys, to Ace Attorney Investigations 2, Prosecutors Gambit, where last episode we engaged in a game of mind chess with Lotta Hart, learning that she had witnessed what she thinks to have been the murder. She didn't actually manage to take a photo of events. With the storeroom a suspected crime scene, we then used Emma's luminol to find traces of blood all over, finding it to have dripped down to the room below as we took the lift into the chambers for prosecutorial excellence, bumping into the investigating force and arguing with Franziska as we now look to disprove her current theory, mainly challenging the fact that we know the location of the murder is here in the committee's trial chamber, but we think it's upstairs, and we think it's because of this. Is this correct?
Objection!
No! I don't want to fail when I start an episode. There's no music stop. There's a clear contradiction in your testimony. Oh, is there? Then perhaps you'd care to explain it to me? Of course, if your explanation isn't to my satisfaction, my whip will inform you of my displeasure. I haven't even started explaining. Words are useless in the face of that whip, Mr. Edgeworth. You'll just have to present some other evidence instead. Indeed, I won't make the mistake of letting her swing that thing at me again. Thanks for butting in there, Emma. So it's not this statement that we thought at the end of the last episode. We're trying to prove that, of course, the blood came from upstairs. Is it just not that statement and this statement, the blood on the floor of this room, proves my theory? Oh, I guess if you're going against a theory, you should actually challenge the one that says theory. It's the same evidence, though, right? I am right in this. I thought like I could probably go on either or, but whatever. Is this?
Objection!
No double penalty, but okay. Same difference, I guess. If I remember correctly, the blood discovered in this room was located at the foot of the Goddess of Justice statue. Murder under the gaze of the divine. A brazen act, even for a cold-blooded killer. Except that may not be true at all. Take a look at this if you would. It's a blood stain we discovered in the storeroom directly above the committee chamber. As you can see, the blood we found looks to have dripped through to the room below. And the elevator it dripped down from descends directly to the foot of the statue. So I argue either of those statements should have been correct for me to challenge. Ah, you noticed. Then you will agree that the murder cannot in fact have happened in this room. I put it to you that the victim was killed in the room above, and only afterward was she moved down here. The Goddess of Justice did not witness a murder. She witnessed the killer trying to cover their tracks. Why is she smiling? Sorry, I was just thinking back to a very similar situation. Well done, Miles Edgeworth. You've proven yourself to be even more foolish than I thought.
Mr. Edgeworth is anything but a fool, sir, and you know it. Ouch!
Have you forgotten the picture you just showed me, or are you really that airheaded? Even a cursory glance shows that there was far more blood here in the committee chamber than upstairs.
Ouch! Whipped and ignored again. We should get some love. Oh, too!
You're trying to tell me that all of that blood dripped down from above, Miles Edgeworth? If it had, your storeroom stain would need to be 10 times as big. I say the murder happened down here. There's no way it could have happened anywhere else. As insightful as ever, Franziska, but you played right into my hands. How so? You are correct. There is far less blood upstairs than one would expect. The question is, why? A trifling detail in the face of my previous explanation. Alas, your explanation doesn't account for why there was blood in the storeroom in the first place. Surely you don't think some spatter managed to shoot itself all the way up there, do you? Whoa! Like some crazy fountain of blood! No way! No way indeed. It's completely impossible. So how about this? What if this explains the difference in the amounts of blood observed? There was far more blood in the committee chamber than in the storeroom above because the weapon was removed here, the victim was stabbed here, or the victim was stabbed upstairs. Now, if you stab someone, or if you get shot with something like an arrow, of course, all the movies and all that say you leave it in, because of course if you pull it out, you might be removing an obstruction that's stopping you from bleeding out. So the weapon was removed here, simply, and led to gush. The victim died of 3 stab wounds that would have bled profusely. Exactly, as proven by the amount of blood we found on the floor of this room. But that doesn't make any sense! Not if she was stabbed in the storeroom! You said there was much blood up there already! Ah! Silence, you half-baked, harebrained rookie. Hey, harebrained is a little... Ah! A stab wound bleeds heaviest at one particular point in time. Oh, I know. When the weapon is removed, right? Precisely. I believe the body was brought down to the committee chamber with the candelabrum still in its chest. And then, when it was finally removed, it created the difference in the amount of blood we see between the two locations. But why? What was the killer trying to do? Obfuscate things. I imagine they were trying to give the impression that the murder happened down here. As we know, Miss Ringer's keycard was used late last night. Judging by the time listed in the record, I'd hazard a guess that it was used by the killer when they entered the room to create their elaborate setup. But why would they have needed to do all this in the first place? Perhaps because a person with a face to hide would fear the storeroom being found in the investigation. If they were involved with the underground auction, they couldn't afford to have their dirty secret exposed. Blood found in the committee chamber. Was it placed there to hide the existence of the storeroom? Place seems like the weirdest word. Underground auction. Well, technically, it's very overground. You should take a look at the storeroom for yourself. The items up there tell quite a story. One that should more than explain what was going on here last night. It's almost endearing, Miles Edgeworth, how desperately you want to protect your friend. There's something just beneath the surface of this case. Something bigger than all of us. And Kay's only crime was to have the bad fortune to fall right into the middle of it. That's quite the hyperbolic claim, Miles Edgeworth. Hyperbolic? Me? Surely you're the one making a mountain out of my perfectly reasonable molehill. You're working with Interpol on international cases, so why are you investigating a domestic murder? I'll tell you why. Because this case has something to do with the smuggling ring you've been chasing. You followed the trail of items being smuggled by the ring and wound up here. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that the something I sense isn't related to any of this. I'm very happy to learn that you giving up your badge didn't completely relieve you of your senses. Scruffy here told me about the circumstances that led up to that, by the way.
Sorry, sir. I just thought it might help, you know?
You did the right thing, detective. So am I right, Franziska? Is this incident part of the broader case you're working? Was the underground auction already on Interpol's radar? Wouldn't you like to know? But you don't need to, and so you won't. Then you knew, didn't you? That the auction was being held here in this chamber. Hey, you mind if I butt in for a sec? I do mind, greatly. Your victim over there, the lady in white. You! Hey, let it go finish, will you? Not a good button in painting than you know what. Ouch! Well, this episode sure ain't changed her spots. She just brushed that off, it felt like. Your testimony is not required, and neither is your presence. What do you mean? I'm a journalist. You can't... Ow! You're a liar is what you are. You lied under oath that one time. Seems like Miss Von Karma's none too fond of Miss Hart, huh? I don't think she's her biggest fan, no. What's she called? Ringer, right? She was a member of this here committee. Well, she's dressed exactly like the ringleader of that there secret auction. Ah! Stop it! Stop whipping me, dang it! What is the meaning of this interruption? Miles Edgeworth, explain. Miss Hart here helped us out by describing how the auctioneer was dressed. And it seems they were wearing the exact same outfit as the victim, Miss Rosie Ringer. But that would mean that the victim was also the ringleader.
No. How about we just come down, sir?
It seems I have some new information to consider. It's true that I came here to investigate the underground auction and to arrest its head of operations, the auctioneer. But if Miss Hart is to be believed, the ringleader is dead. I guess that means your journey here today was wasted. I suppose it does. Nonetheless, I, Franziska Von Karma, I refuse to leave empty-handed. Time for a rematch, Miles Edgeworth. Fine by me. But you may find that your whip will go sorely underused this round. Franziska's latest theory. Fine, I accept your little explanation. That would make the storeroom the actual scene of the crime, yes? In which case, the murderer is someone connected to the auction. And if the photographer is to be believed, the victim was the auctioneer, and the culprit was an attendee. The killer lay in wait for the victim in the storeroom where the exchange of illicit goods was to take place. They then stabbed the victim in the chest with a piece of merchandise, the candelabrum. Oh, so you know it's part of the merchandise. There, does that about sum it up? Because I won't be accepting rebuttals. I'm afraid you might have to. There's a serious hole in your testimony. There is? I didn't spill any. Good thing you're the one in charge here, Mr. Edgeworth. Alright then, time to fight back. You have to win this for us. And I will. Time to take Franziska's testimony to task.
We rebut.
Fine, I accept your little explanation. That would make the storeroom the actual scene of the crime, yes?
Hold it!
You conceded that point rather easily. I can't help but be suspicious. I'm not in the habit of denying facts that are readily supported by the evidence. That's all there is to it. You were able to show that the murder actually took place in the storeroom. Oh, nice. In which case, the murderer is someone connected to the auction.
Hold it!
And how exactly did you come to that conclusion? Members of the big building staff were questioned extensively, but none mentioned a secret storeroom. It seems its existence was known to only a handful of people. And of course, that storeroom was where the items that were to be sold in the auction were being kept. Very good. Which suggests a link between knowledge of the storeroom and involvement in the auction. And if the photographer is to be believed, the victim was the auctioneer and the culprit was an attendee.
Hold it!
So you believe that the victim and the ringleader were one and the same? I do, and the murderer was. Why are you asking her this? You just said the exact same thing yourself, dummy. So I did. I was merely confirming Franziska's reasoning in order to... Oh, don't give me that horse feed. You get caught saying something stupid, you give a little laugh and move on with your day. The murderer was one of the auction attendees. What? You don't got no notes for our friend here after that little performance of his? Of course, assuming that our friend, the photographer's word, can be trusted. I can't quite tell if they love or hate one another. Anyway, the more relevant point here is how the culprit actually carried out their plan. It's more the fact that Lotta seems to, be absolutely fine with being whipped. Compared to everyone else who's absolutely proclaiming at every opportunity, she's just pain fresh old lady. The killer lay in wait for the victim in the storeroom where the exchange of illicit goods was to take place. Well, that would have been a bit awkward. Where are you saying the killer lay in wait exactly? Behind the statue with a liar? Hi, I just want to stay here as well. I just gotta murder someone.
Hold it!
How exactly did they manage that, may I ask? Miss Hart was in the storeroom too, remember?
Objection!
Yes, hiding someplace. And if you've seen the storeroom yourself, you'll know that there are plenty of other places to hide too. So if you've actually seen the storeroom... So you're saying the killer was hiding out of sight while they awaited the victim's arrival. I believe we can reasonably assume that the murder took place after the auction had concluded. After all, the victim was the auctioneer herself. She would surely have needed to be present throughout the proceedings. She thinks it happened afterward. Would you mind adding that statement to your testimony, Franziska? I believe we can reasonably assume that the murder took place after the auction had concluded.
Hold it!
After the auction had ended, you say? And you're sure of that? If the victim was the auctioneer, I don't see how else it could have happened, do you? I mean, she's right. You can't have an auction without an auctioneer. No, you can't, can you? Why does that suddenly feel significant? They then stabbed the victim in the chest with a piece of merchandise, the candelabrum. I would like to press this as well, even though it's obvious the previous statement is the one we need to get to.
Hold it!
How would you know that the candelabrum was one of the auction lots? Yes, you know a lot about this storeroom. Because if the murder weapon had been deliberately prepared beforehand, it seems highly unlikely that the killer would have chosen such an unusual object. Fair. Furthermore, based on the culprit's movements, the candelabrum could have only come from the storeroom. We did find evidence that showed where it was standing, I guess. Exactly. Therefore, it could only have been something that was up for sale. Not that the issue of where the killer obtained their weapon is really the point here. It's a reasonably coherent explanation of events on the surface, but something's off. I need to see if I can tease a little more out of her. I mean, we did. But it's a lot further on the statement list. This statement... I believe we can reasonably assume that the murder took place after the auction had concluded. So, of course, it's going to be in our latest list of testimony stuff. Yes, evidence and the more. It's likely going to be this. Illicit auction held in big building. 11 attendees altogether, all were in mass. Auction continued even after the murder occurred. Sorted.
Objection!
It seems you're one step behind yet again, Franziska. How so? The auctioneer was not in fact the victim, and I can prove it. This is the statement Miss Hart gave us. Well, if she made it, it's not worth the air she used to say it. I done told you, I'm a journalist, dagnabbit. My word is youch. Did I ask you to open your mouth? Double youch. What? And then she got mad again. Calm down and listen for a second, Franziska. Miss Hart witnessed at least some of the events surrounding the murder, and she confirmed that the auction continued even after the murder had occurred. You bet it did. Went right on like nothing had happened at all. How would that have been possible without an auctioneer, It wouldn't. So you see, the victim couldn't have been the auctioneer. She was one of the attendees. No! As I've been saying since the start, there's no way Kay can be the murderer, because she had been pushed down the hatch by her assailant and knocked unconscious by that time. So then who was the victim, really? Right, well, if the auction carried on after the murder, the victim must not have been the auctioneer, but an attendee. That's enough! I know that sound all too well. Oh, it's Verity. Order in the courtroom. All rise for the chairman.
Oh, there's no need for all that pomp and circumstance, Verity. Please, everyone, feel free to call me Celsius. Yes, that'll do nicely. All right, Celsius, what are you doing here? Oh, I just stopped by to see how my boneheaded boy was getting along. They say there are all sorts of families, but I'm not sure these two are what they meant. I thought I might need to light a fire under this investigation, but it seems not. The suspect everyone's searching high and low for is right back here where we started.
Men, detain the suspect immediately.
Wait, Miss Faraday is innocent. Shut your meddling mouth.
What settings do you have on that?
You're becoming something of a problem, Miles, my boy. I thought I told you. The committee wants this matter cleared up as soon as possible. It's a matter of trust. We can't have our organization be seen to drag its feet. It's bad for us, and it's bad for me too, personally. Sorry, it must be my age.
Your unlawful investigation ends here, and it will not be permitted to resume. In case you have forgotten, you are no longer a prosecutor. You have no authority here. And what's more, there is the matter of you aiding and abetting a suspect.
She's right, of course. As always, you really are a godsend, Verity.
Everything I do knowingly. If you wish to prosecute me for it, be my guest. But know this. We have uncovered a new suspect. This person here. Miss Faraday was attacked by this
Overruled.
You can stop there, Mr. Edgeworth. The raincoat in your picture was discovered nearby a short while ago. The victim's blood was found on the hood, along with some cherry blossom petals.
Cherry blossom petals? Like the ones on the roof?
Yes, they were stuck to the edges of the bloodstains, probably due to the blood being fresh at the time.
The results came back already, my boy, so there's no mistaking it. The person in your picture is the victim, Miss Rosie Ringer. What?
The red raincoat data jotted down in my organizer, worn by the victim whose fingerprints and blood were found on the hood.
No, this completely undermines our entire case.
I'm not even sure where this puts us at, to be fair. All our assumptions were based on the person in the red raincoat being the killer. But if they were the victim instead, then Kay remains at the top of the suspect list. Miss Faraday, you testified to having encountered a person in a red raincoat up on the roof, correct? Yes, I did. We now know that that person was the murder victim. And you are the only person we know of who came into contact with her. Since one of you wound up dead, I think we all know how that encounter went.
Objection! No, Kay was attacked by that person. She is the victim here, not the aggressor.
Overruled.
As far as I recall, we have yet to see any evidence that proves she was attacked as you claim. And even if such proof existed, Miss Ringer could simply have been acting in self-defense.
Well, you can't just jump to conclusions like that. Kay is innocent.
But I'm not.
Kay?
I'm not innocent. I don't want to believe it, but I remembered something. Hearing about the raincoat brought it back. It's just a flash, but I remember what I saw now. Right when it happened. The murderer. It was me. I remember looking down and the person in the red raincoat was on the ground. It was me, Mr. Edgeworth. It was me all along. I'm the murderer. I'm the murderer.
No, you're not. You can't be.
Then what am I? Why do I have a memory like that?
You could be a witness too to someone collapsing.
They were on the floor in front of me. There was a pool of blood. Why was I just standing there? Why didn't I do something? I know why. It's because I was the killer.
Someone cleaned up all that blood and everything.
This court recognizes the legitimacy of the accused memories. What the hell? There's nothing exactly legitimate about someone with amnesia at this point in time. You can't really do that until, like, full memory returns.
What? You said you didn't believe it like 5 minutes ago.
Overruled.
I commend you on your bravery, Miss Faraday. It will not go unrewarded. Praise be to the goddess of justice for her many blessings.
Objection!
As an official representative of Interpol, I hereby request that the suspect be...
Overruled.
We don't have time for this. We must arrest Kay Faraday this instant. How dare you take that tone with me?
This is a gross overreach of authority. I demand that you give us more time to investigate. You say my investigation is unlawful? What could be more unlawful than this?
Unfortunately, you no longer speak for the law.
Indeed you don't. But I do. And while I can't help but be moved by your dedication to your friend, I have to agree with Verity.
Speaking of the law, it seems there is one other we must arrest.
Ah, yes, I almost forgot. Miles. What are you talking about? Mr. Edgeworth was just doing his job. He didn't do anything wrong. He wasn't doing squat. By which I mean to say, unfortunately, Miles is no longer serving in any kind of official capacity.
You do me for trespassing? You went too far this time, Mr. Edgeworth. You conducted an unlawful investigation. Worse, you aided and abetted the flight of a suspect. You are no longer even an ex-prosecutor. You are a criminal. Nothing more.
Ah! Oh, that reminds me. There was supposed to be a hearing today, wasn't there? Concerning your conduct. I'll make sure it's officially rescheduled for tomorrow. Although I fear I already know the outcome. Look at this as an opportunity to reflect on your actions, Miles. A chance to really think long and hard.
This court is adjourned.
What?
Bender!
Say like, they're working with the defense and with the defense attorney.
Bender! Give me reason to be here.
I'm in jail! Well, at least I know there's a way out, probably. I mean, to another cell, but still. To a cell where someone might beat me up, to be fair, and possibly kill me? Wait a second. They better have closed this thing. That person doesn't like me that much. Never thought I'd spend another night in here again. And they stripped me of all the evidence we'd so painstakingly gathered. Even if they did let me keep Kay's Yatagarasu pin, I can't help but worry about her. They better be treating her well.
The murderer, it was me. I remember looking down and The person in the red raincoat was on the ground. It was me, Mr. Edgeworth. It was me all along. I'm the murderer. I'm the murderer.
Come on, let's go. You've got a visitor. A visitor? Who? Someone by the name of Dick Gumshoe. Want me to send him away?
No, though I'm not sure what to even say to him. I am on the wrong side of this glass.
Wait there.
They're leaving me unsupervised. Here's a camera.
Forgive the intrusion. Who are we talking about?
Oh, hello. Yes.
Judge Cavell.
Please, Mr. Edgeworth. Take a seat.
What are you doing here?
I was told it was Detective Gumshoe. I imagine you wouldn't come if you knew it was me. What could she possibly want from me now? I suppose I better find out. Yes. What has been your angle for quite a while? You seemed very sad when I gave up my prosecutor badge, like it wasn't within your plans, your expectations. Give me your visit. You may not be aware of this, but you are only permitted to meet with specially approved visitors.
So I'm to be treated like a dangerous criminal, am I? I suppose my reputation has rather plummeted.
It has indeed. For you, of course, and your friends. That attorney and the other girl were raising quite the fuss earlier.
Fender and Emma.
I saw them launch some extremely heated words at one of the guards.
No, you didn't.
You may thank the goddess in that regard, for even she is too busy to deal with each and every infraction. They will not be punished for their bad behavior.
Did you come here just to chit-chat with me? You must have a lot of time on your hands.
Oh, speaking of which, Miss Von Karma is continuing the investigation where you left off. I just thought you would like to know. I figured you would be worried about how they were all doing.
I hate to admit it, but she read me like a book. What is your motive? Let's cut to the chase, Your Honor. Why are you really here?
I'm here simply to talk. Nothing more. There is something I wish to know about you.
Me?
Yes, who else? Objectively speaking, you are highly intelligent and quick-witted. And a born prosecutor at that.
Please, Judge Cavell, your sarcastic praise is but salt on my wounds.
But I sincerely mean every word, Mr. Edgeworth. And it's why I failed to understand you. Take this latest case, for example. You were up against the very committee itself. You had no hope of succeeding. Even a child could have seen that, and yet...
I don't imagine the old me would have ever been so reckless. The old me had power, and because of that I thought that justice was always on my side. Just as you and the committee believe now. But a certain person changed my mind. He made me reckon with my selfish and skewed sense of justice. And once the scales had fallen from my eyes, I began to look at people differently. I saw that I was only able to be an effective prosecutor thanks to the efforts of those around me. Detective Gumshoe, the many investigative officers of the force, and even Kay. It changed me. The degree to which it changed me still surprises me to this day.
I see. Thank you. I feel that perhaps I understand you a little better now.
You understand me? I highly doubt it. Someone who is so focused on forcing their idea of justice onto others can't possibly see what I see.
Is that so? Is that what you truly believe? I will say one thing. This has been a very interesting conversation. That is all. Before I go, there is one remaining matter. I was asked to inform you that the date of your hearing has been confirmed. It will be held today, in the trial chamber. The committee sends its warmest regards.
If that was all you had to tell me, you could have just sent a message.
And entrust the goddess's words to another? That wouldn't do now, would it? Until then, Mr. Edgeworth, I'll see you again very shortly.
So we return to prison. With our meeting about to take place?
Well, I'm allowed to look around.
What if I take the tunnel? What am I allowed to do here, really?
I barely spent any time in here, and already I can feel my personal appearance slipping. I may have given up my badge, but I mustn't give up on myself. My collar is slightly creased. There, a tidy outside begets a tidy inside, which is why it's more important now than ever to take care of myself. There's a menu here on the table. It seems the detainees are able to pay to have their meals brought to their cells. What looks good? Spaghetti and mac and cheese lunch. Add linguine for only $1. Basmati and brown rice special. For a limited time, only add regular white rice at no extra cost. It's probably for the best that I'm not very hungry. What's going on with the toilet? The window is barred with heavy steel. That reminds me of a movie I once saw. A prison inmate hatched a plot to escape by using a file to cut his cell bars. I won't be doing that, of course. For one thing, I don't have a file on me at the moment. What am I saying? I wouldn't do it even if I did have one. There's a note on the wall next to the toilet. Sorry, we're currently out of toilet paper. Please make the necessary mental preparations before using the toilet. What sorts of mental preparations can one even make? The willingness to have to use one's hands, the willingness to have to go and use the tap afterwards, the willingness to do a lot of things. But we are encompassed in a cell, and before I check under the bed, I think we should end an episode because it might start things off. It's either checking the bed or going to sleep, or checking the bars at the front. Waiting for our meeting. What a weird bit. Being in jail to end an episode. How the mighty have fallen? To be honest, I think the mighty are in the place they need to be to claw their way back up again. But what is Verity Gavel's deal? We still haven't found out. Well, my reputation's on the line. We have a misconduct or conduct meeting next time. I hope you join me then on Ace Attorney Investigations 2 Prosecutors Gambit. And until then, I say bye-bye.